This is the age of heroes. It is the eve of the Trojan War. The united forces of Greece from every corner of Hellas have gathered, the 1,000 ships prepared to launch because of one person. When fair Helen of Sparta left her husband Menelaus and fled across the sea with Paris, a prince of Troy, a sacred oath was invoked, uniting the Greeks into a single army the likes of which had never been seen before. Some sought vengeance, some sought plunder, and some vowed to secure Greece and her borders. But just as the ships gathered at Aulis to sail to war, no winds came. As days and weeks passed, the armies grew restless in the heat and unnaturally still air. Agamemnon, commander of the united army, sought guidance from his seers and was told the terrible truth of what would be required to achieve glory in Troy.
Old friend, come hither and sit before my dwelling.
I come. What new schemes now, King Agamemnon?
Thou shalt hear it.
I am all eagerness. 'Tis little enough sleep these days, allow me.
What star can that be, steering his course yonder?
Sirius, still shooting o'er the zenith.
Yet birds are still, and sea is calm. Hushed are the winds, and silence broods over this narrow firth.
And why art thou outside thy tent? Why art thou so restless? All is quiet here in Aulis. The watch on the walls is not yet astir. Come, let us go inside.
I envy thee, friend, I, and every man who lead a simple life, but little I envy those who rule.
And 'tis here we place the end-all and be-all.
Aye, but that is where the danger comes. For ambition, sweet though it seems, brings sorrow with its near approach. In one moment, the unsatisfied gods upend our life, and the next, the endless, peevish fancies of our subjects shatter it.
I like not these sentiments in one who is a chief, O Agamemnon. One must needs experience joy and sorrow alike, mortal as thou art. E'en though thou like it not, this is what the gods decree. But thou, after letting thy candle spread its light abroad, thou writest the letter which is in thy hand, and then erasest the same words, opening and resealing the scroll, and then flinging the tablet to the ground in floods of tears and aimless behavior to stamp thee mad. What is it that troubles thee? What news is there affecting thee, my liege? Come, tell thy story to a loyal and trusted heart, thou wilt be telling it.
Leda, daughter of Thestius, had 3 children, maidens, Phoebe, Clytemnestra, my wife, and Helen, the last for whom had wooers of the foremost of the favored sons of Greece. But terrible threats of spilling his rival's blood were muttered by each of them should he fail to win the maid. Now this matter filled Tyndareus, her father, with perplexity. At length this thought occurred to him. The suitors should swear unto each other, and join right hands thereon, and pour libations, binding themselves by this curse. Whosoever shall win Helen for wife, him will we assist, in case a rival takes her from his house and goes his way, robbing the husband of his rights. And we will march against that man in armed array, and raise his city to the ground. Now, once the suitors had sworn, and old Tyndareus, with no small cleverness, had beguiled them with his shrewd device, he allowed his daughter to choose from among her suitors the one towards whom the breath of love fondly wafted her. Her choice fell on my brother Menelaus. I would she had never taken him. Anon, there came Paris of Troy. Finding Menelaus gone from home, carried Helen off with him, a willing paramour. Goaded into frenzy, Menelaus flew from Hellas, invoking the sacred oath and declaring the duty of helping the injured husband. Here we wait, brandishing our spears and donning our armor in straits of Aulis with armaments of ships and troops, and they chose me to captain them all for the sake of Menelaus, since I was his brother. Would some other had gained the distinction instead of me? But when the army had come and gathered together, we still remained at Aulis, unnaturally weatherbound. No winds to sail for Troy. Thus Calchas, the seer, bade us heed his counsel.
How long must we wait? We left our homes to fight, not to rot under the sun.
You must heed the will of the gods. Mind Artemis, whose home is in this land.
When Greece rose for war, the winds were roaring, seeing us off to Aulis. All said, the gods are with us. And now silence as we count the fiery days.
Calchas, great seer. We would heed the gods and honor them. How must we secure the blessing of Artemis so that she may speed our forces?
Your soldiers have already defended her. They have stalked her lands, devoured her deer. The Greeks have desecrated her sacred forest with blood and Aulis. The still air is her wrath. Artemis must be appeased, lest your troops stay on this shore until matters drives them to rip each other apart.
Already I hear calls for sedition, angry mutterings of our indecisiveness. We will break the barrier of silence. A full moon approaches. Prepare a feast to make a great sacrifice to Artemis, so she may speed our way to victory.
In order to do the gods' will, you must know what it is. My oracle will clear your perplexity to Artemis. King Agamemnon must offer as sacrifice his own begotten, his daughter, Iphigenia. Only then will your army sail, and only then will Troy be yours to conquer and sack. If you forbear, that prize is not for you.
Agamemnon.
No,
We are going to Troy.
this folly ends.
The armies demand it.
Tell no one about this, do you hear? Tell the soldiers their will shall be done. I will dissolve the army.
Is that what you truly want? I ask you.
I speak not as Menelaus' brother, nor the husband of Helen's sister, but as a Greek who puts Greece above all.
And I say I would rather die here in Aulis with my eyes staring at Troy than retreat, listening to the laughter of those barbarians flare up along with my shame.
I will command Talthabius to disband the whole host, for I will not bear to slay a daughter of mine to appease your pride.
To appease the gods! Ugh. They say the gods test those whom they love, and that our endurance should appease them. Never forget, you made a sacred oath to the gods. Would you break it now?
Now, my brother, bringing every argument to bear, persuaded me to at last face the crime. So I wrote in a folded scroll and sent it to my wife, bidding her dispatch our daughter to me on the pretense of wedding Achilles, and at the same time magnifying his exalted rank and saying he refused to sail with us unless a bride of our lineage be offered. Yes, this was the inducement I offered my wife, inventing, as I did, a sham marriage for the maiden. Of all the Greeks, we alone know the truth, Calchas, Menelaus, and myself. But that which I then decided wrongly, I now countermand again in this scroll, which thou, old man, hast found me opening and resealing under the shade of night. Away with this missive to Argos, and I will tell thee by word of mouth, all that lies written here in the folded scroll, for thou art loyal to my wife and house.
Say on and make it plain, so that what my tongue utters may accord with what thou hast written.
Daughter of Leda, in addition to my first letter, I now ask thee not to dispatch thy daughter to the waveless bay of Aulis, for we will celebrate our child's wedding at another time.
But how will Achilles, cheated of his bride, curb his fury and indignation for thee and thy wife?
Here's another danger.
Tell me what thou meanest.
It is but his name, not himself, that Achilles is lending, knowing nothing of the marriage or of my scheming or of my professed readiness to betroth my daughter to him for a husband's embrace.
A dreadful venture this is, King Agamemnon, one that, by promise of your daughter to the son of the goddess, all to bring her hither to be sacrificed for Artemis!
I am utterly distraught! Bewilderment comes over me. Away hurry thy steps, yielding nothing.
In haste I go, my liege.
Sit down not by woodland thoughts. Scorn the witcheries of sleep.
Yes.
And when thou comest to the place where roads diverge, cast thine eyes all around, ensuring that none pass by on rolling wheels, bringing my daughter hither to the ships of the Nile, and thou see it not.
It shall be so.
Start then from the bolted gates, and if thou catch the messenger, stop them and fly full speed away from Aulis.
But tell me, how will my letter find credit with thy wife and child?
Preserve the seal thou bearest on the folded scroll. Away! Already the dawn is growing gray, lighting the lamp of day yonder. Help me in my trouble. None of mortals is ever happy or prosperous to the last, for none was ever born to a painless life.
Agamemnon!
Strange daring thine, Menelaus, where thou hast no right!
Stand back, thou carriest loyalty to thy king too far!
The very reproach thou hast for me is to my credit!
Thou shalt rue it if thou meddlest in matters that concern thee not!
Thou hast no right to open a letter which I was carrying!
No, nor should thou be carrying sorrow to all Hellas!
Argue that point with others, but surrender that letter to me!
I shall not let go!
Nor yet shall I lose my hold!
Well then, this fist of mine shall be dabbling thy head with blood ere long!
To die in my king's cause would be an honorable death!
Let's... Too worthy.
My king, he is wronging me. He has snatched the letter violently from my grasp and will not claim the heeds of right.
How now? What means this uproar at the gates, this indecent brawling?
My story, not his, has the better right to be spoken.
Thou, Menelaus, what quarrel hast thou with this man? Why art thou hailing him hence?
Look me in my face. Be that the prelude to my story.
Am I the son of Atreus to close my eyes from fear?
Seest thou this scroll, the bearer of a shameful message?
I see it. And first of all, surrender!
No! Not until I revealed its contents to all our assembled hosts.
What? Hast thou already broken the seal and noticed what thou shouldst never have known?
Yes, I opened it, and know to thy sorrow the secret machinations of thy heart.
Where didst thou catch my messenger? Ye gods, what a shameless heart you have!
I was awaiting thy daughter's arrival at the camp from Argos.
What right hast thou to watch my doings? Is this not a mark of shamelessness?
My want to do it gave the spur, for I am no slave to thee.
Infamous! Am I not allowed the management of my own house?
No! For thou thinkest crooked thoughts. One thing now, another formerly, and something different presently.
Most exquisite revining on evil themes. A hateful thing, the tongue of cleverness.
Aye, but a mind unstable is an unjust possession, disloyal to friends. Now I am anxious to test thee, and seek not to turn aside from the truth through rage, nor will I on my part overstrain the case. Thou rememberest when thou wert all eagerness to captain the Greeks against Troy, making a pretense of declining, though eager of it in thy heart. How humble thou wert then, taking each man by the hand and keeping open doors for any fellow townsmen who cared to enter, affording each in turn a chance to speak with thee, seeking by these methods to purchase popularity from all bidders. But then, when thou hast secured the command, there came a change over thy manners. Thou wert no longer so cordial to friends, but hard of access, seldom to be found at home. The man of real worth ought not to change his manners in the hour of prosperity, but should then show himself most staunch to friends when his own good fortune can help them most effectually. This was the first cause I had to reproach thee, for it is here I first discovered thy villainy. But afterwards, when thou camest to Aulis with all the gathered host of Hellas, thou wert of no accord. No, the want of a favorable breeze filled thee with the consternation of the hand dealt out by heaven. Anon the soldiers began demanding that thou shouldst send the fleet away instead of vainly toiling on at Aulis. What confusion and dismay was then depicted in thy looks, to think that thou, with 1,000 ships at thy command, had not occupied the plains of Troy with thy armies. And thou wouldst ask my counsel. Oh, what am I to do? What scheme can I derive? Where find one to save thyself of being stripped of thy command and losing thy fair fame? Next, when Caucus bade thee offer thy daughter in sacrifice to Artemis, declaring that the Greeks should then sail, thou wert overjoyed and didst gladly undertake to offer the maiden in sacrifice, and of thy own accords never alleged compulsion. Thou art sending word to thy wife to dispatch thy daughter hither on pretense of wedding Achilles.
Shush!
This was the same air that heard thee say it. And after all, thou turnst around and hadst been caught recasting thy letter to this effect: I will no longer be my daughter's murderer. Exactly so. Countless others have gone through this phase in their conduct of public affairs. They make an effort while in power, and they retire dishonorably, sometimes owing to the senselessness of the citizen, and sometimes deservedly because they are too feeble of themselves to maintain their watch over the state. For my part, I am more sorry for our unhappy Hellas, whose purpose was to teach these worthless foreigners a lesson. But now she will let them escape and mock her because of thee and thy daughter. May I never appoint a man to rule my country or lead its warriors because of kinship. Ability is what the general must have.
I wish to rebuke thee in turn, briefly, not lifting my eyes too high to shameless wise, but as a brother, for it is a good man's way to be considerate. Prithee, why this sudden fury? These bloodshot eyes? Who wrongs thee? What is it thou wantst? Thou art fain to win a virtuous bride. Well, I cannot supply thee, for she whom thou hast had was ill-controlled by thee. Am I then a man who never went astray to suffer for thy sins? Or is it my popularity that galls thee? No, it is the longing thou hast to keep a fair wife in thy embrace, casting reason and honor to the winds. A bad man's pleasures are like himself. Am I mad? Then if I choose to wiser counsels after previously deciding amiss, thine is the madness wishing to recover a wicked wife once thou had lost her. A stroke of heaven-sent luck. Those suitors swore that oath to Tyndareus, but hope was the goddess that led them on, I vow, and it was she that brought it on rather than thou and thou mightiness. So take the field with them. They're ready for it in the folly of their hearts. For the deity is not without insight, and is able to discern where oaths have been wrongfully pledged and forcibly extorted. I will not slay my child, nor shall thy interests be prospered by claiming justice for a worthless wife, while I am left wasting night and day for what I did to one of my own flesh and blood, contrary to all law and justice. That is thy answer shortly given, clear and easy to understand. And if thou wilt not come to thy senses, I will do the best for myself.
Ah me, how sad my lot. I have no friends then after all.
Friends thou hast, if seek not their destruction.
Where wilt thou find any proof that thou art sprung from the same sire as I?
Thy moderation, not thy madness, do we share.
Friends should sympathize with friends in sorrow.
Seek my help by kindly service, not by paining me.
So thou hast no mind to share this trouble with all Hellas?
No. Hellas is diseased, like thee, according to some god's design.
Go and revel then, after betraying thy own brother. I shall seek some different methods and other friends.
Agamemnon, commander of all Greece, I I have come and bring thee thy daughter Iphigenia from thy home, and her mother, thy wife Clytemnestra, is with her.
Oh no.
A sight to gladden thee after thy long absence from thy palace. But as they have been traveling long and far, they are now refreshing their tender feet in the waters of a fair spring, they and their horses. For we turned these loose in the grassy meadow to browse their fill. But I am come as their forerunner to prepare thee for their reception. For the army already knows of thy daughter's arrival, so quickly did the rumor spread, and all the folks running together to the sight that they might see thy child. For fortune's favorites enjoy a worldwide fame and have all eyes fixed on them. Is it a wedding? Some asked, or what is happening? Or has King Agamemnon from fond yearning summoned his daughter hither? From others thou wouldest have heard, they are presenting the maiden to Artemis, queen of Aulis, previous to marriage. Who can the bridegroom be that is to bring her home? Come then, begin the rites, that is the next step. By getting the baskets ready, crown your heads, prepare the wedding hymn. Thou and Prince Menelaus with thee. Let flutes resound throughout the tent with noise of dancers' feet, for this is a happy day that has come for the maid.
Thou hast my thanks. Now go within, for it will ever be as fate proceeds. Oh, woe is me. Unhappy wretch, what can I say? Where shall I begin? To what cruel straits have I been brought? Fortune has outwitted me, proving far clever than any cunning of mine. To what an advantage humble birth possesses, for her sons can weep and tell of their sorrows. Why, to the highborn man come these same sorrows, yet we are reaped with the throne, making us the people's slaves. I, for one, am ashamed to weep no less, poor wretch, to check my tears at this pass. Oh, what am I to tell my wife? How shall I welcome her? With what face meet her? For she too has undone me by coming this uninvited to this my hour of sorrow. Yet it was but natural that she should come to prepare the bride and perform the fondest of duties where she will discover my villainy. As for the poor maid, why, maid, death, methinks, will soon make her his bride. Alas, how I pity her. Thus she will swear to me, my father, wilt thou slay me? Alas, to what utter ruin Paris, the son of Priam, has brought to me with his union with Helen.
Thy hand, brother, let me grasp it.
I give it thee. Mine the victory, and mine the sorrow.
My Atreus, our father, I swear to tell thee the truth from my heart, without any covert purpose, but only what I think. The sight of thee has made me pity thee, and in return I shed a tear for thee myself. I withdraw from my former proposal, ceasing to be a cause of fear to thee, and I will put myself in thy current position, and I will counsel thee, slay not thy child, nor prefer my interest to thine. For it is not just that thou shouldst grieve while I am glad, or that thy children should die while mine see the light of day. What is it, after all, I seek? If I am set on marriage, could I not find a bride of choice elsewhere? Was I to lose a brother, the last I should have lost, to win a Helen, gaining bad for good? I was mad, impetuous as a youth, until I perceived on closer view what slaying children really meant. Moreover, I am filled with compassion for the helpless maiden doomed to bleed that I may wed, when I reflect that we are kin. What has thy daughter to do with Helen? Let the armies be disbanded and leave Aulis, and calm thy spirits, brother, and provoke me not to tears. Whatever concerns thou hast in oracles that affect thy child, let it be none of mine. Into thy hands I resign my share therein. A sudden change, thou say, from my fell proposals. Natural course for me. Affection for my brother caused the change. These are the ways of a man not void of virtue to pursue on occasion what is best.
I thank thee, Menelaus, for this unexpected suggestion. 'Tis an honorable proposal worthy of thee.
Sometimes love, sometimes the selfishness of our own families causes a quarrel between brothers. I loathe a relationship of this kind, which is bitterness to both.
'Tis useless, for circumstances compel me to carry out the murderous sacrifice of my daughter.
How so? Who compels thee to slay thy own child?
The whole army here assembled.
Not if thou send her back to Argos.
I could do that unnoticed, but there is another I cannot.
What is that? Thou should not fear the mobs too much.
Calchas will tell the Argive host his oracles.
Not if he be killed ere that. An easy matter.
The whole tribe of seers is a curse with its ambition.
Yes, and good for nothing and useless when amongst us.
Bethink thee then that they will not rise among the Argives and tell of the oracles that Calchas delivered, saying that I promised to offer Artemis a victim, and after all, in proving false. Then when they have carried the army away with prophecy, they will bid the Argives slay me and sacrifice the maiden. And if I escape to Argos, they will come for destruction, razing it to the ground and slaying all. That is my trouble. Oh, woe is me, to what cruel straits heaven has brought me at this pass. Take one heed as thou passest through the host, that Clytemnestra learn this not till I have taken my daughter and devoted her to death, so that my affliction may be attended with the fewest tears.
I take this as a lucky omen, thy kind and auspicious greeting, and have good hope that it is to a happy marriage I conduct the bride. Take from the chariot the dowry I am bringing for my daughter, and convey it within with careful heed. Come hither to thy mother, my daughter, Iphigenia, and keep thyself beside me and stationed near. Show my happiness to all. Yes, come hither. And welcome the sire thou lovest so dearly. Hail, my honored lord, King Agamemnon. We have obeyed thy commands and are come.
Be not wroth with me, mother, if I run from thy side and throw myself on my father's breast. O my father, I long to outrun others and embrace thee after this long while, for I yearn to see thy face. Be not wroth with me.
Thou mayest do so, daughter, for of all the children I have borne, thou hast ever loved thy father best.
I see thee, father, joyfully after a long season.
And I, thy father, thee, thy words do equal duty for both of us.
Oh, hail, father, thou didst well in bringing me hither to thee.
I know not how I'm to say yes or no to that, my child.
How wildly thou art looking, spite of thy joy at seeing me.
A man has many cares when he is king and general both.
Be mine, all mine today. Turn not unto moody thought.
Why, I am all thine today. I have no other thought.
Then smooth thy knitted brow, unbend and smile.
Lo, my child, my joy at seeing thee is even as it is.
And hast thou then the teardrop streaming from thy eyes?
Aye. For long is the separation that awaits us.
I know not, dear father mine, I know not of what thou art speaking.
Thou art moving my pity all the more by speaking so sensibly.
My words shall turn to senselessness if that will cheer thee more.
I can't take this. This is too much. Thou hast my thanks.
Stay with thy children at home, father.
My own wish, but I may not humor it.
And how long thou wert absent in the bays of Aulis?
Aye, and there is still a hindrance to my sending the army forward.
Where do men say the Trojans live, father?
In a land where I wish Paris, son of Priam, had ne'er dwelt.
'Tis a long voyage thou art bound on, father, after thou leavest me.
Thou wilt remember thy father, my child.
Would it were seemly that thou shouldst take me as a fellow voyager.
Thou hast their own voyage to take to a place where thou wilt remember thy father.
Shall I still thither with my mother or alone?
All alone, without father or mother.
What? Hast thou found me a new home, father?
Enough of this. 'Tis not for girls to know such things.
Speed home from Troy, I pray thee, father, as soon as thou hast triumphed there.
I have a sacrifice to make first here.
Yes, 'tis thy duty to heed religion with aid of holy rites.
Thou wilt witness it, for thou wilt be standing near the altar.
Am I to lead the dance then around the altar, father?
Go within to the presence of maidens, after giving me thy hand in one sad kiss, on the eve of thy lengthy sojourn so far from thy father. I can no more. My eyes well up with tears even at the sight of thee. Herein I crave thy pardon, my wife. For if I showed excessive grief at the thought of giving our daughter to Achilles, for although we are sending her to a taste of bliss, still wrings a parent's heart when he, the father, who toiled so hard for them, send them off for a husband's embrace.
I am not so void of sense. Bethink thee, I shall go through this as well when I lead the maiden from the chamber to the sound of the marriage hymn. Wherefore, I chide thee not, but custom will combine with time and make the smart grow less. As to touching him, whom hast betrothed our daughter, I know his name. 'Tis true, but would fain learn his lineage or the land of his birth.
His father is the great King Peleus, who wedded Thetis, sea nymph, and daughter of Nereus.
With the gods' consent, or when he had taken her in spite of the gods?
Zeus betrothed her, and her guardian consented.
Where did he marry her? Amid the billows of the sea?
At Chiron's home at base of sacred Pelion's foot.
What? The abode of the centaurs?
That is where the marriage feast of Peleus was celebrated.
Did Thetis or his father train Achilles?
Chiron reared him up to prevent him from learning the ways of the wicked.
Wise the teacher still? Wiser the father who entrusted his son to such hands.
Such is the future husband of thy daughter.
A blameless lord. Wilt thou convey our daughter thither?
He who takes her to himself will handle that.
Happiness attend the pair. Which day will he marry her?
As soon as the full moon comes to give its blessing.
Hast thou already offered the goddess a sacrifice to usher in the maiden's marriage?
I was about to do so. It was the very thing I was engaged in.
Wilt thou celebrate the marriage feast thereafter?
Yes. After first making the sacrifice required by Artemis of me.
But where am I to make ready the feast for the women?
Here, besides our gallant ships.
Oh, a fine place for a feast, but still I must good of it come for all that.
I will tell thee, lady, what to do, so obey me now.
Which of my duties will ye perform in the mother's absence?
Get thee to Argos and take care of thy unwedded daughters.
And leave my child? Then who will raise her bridal torch?
I will provide the proper wedding torch.
That is not the custom, but thou thinkest lightly of these things.
It is not good that thou should be alone amongst a soldier crowd.
It is good that a mother should give her own child away.
Aye, and that her unwedded children should not be alone.
They are in safekeeping, pent up in their maiden bowers.
Obey.
Nay, by the goddess queen of Argos, go manage matters out of doors, but in the house, it is my place to decide what is proper for maidens at their wedding.
Woe is me. My efforts are baffled. I'm disappointed in my hope, anxious as I was to get my wife out of sight. Foiled at every point, I form my best plots and subtle schemes against my best beloved. But I will go, in spite of all, with Calchas the priest, to acquire the goddess's good pleasure. Fraught with ill luck as it is to me, and with trouble to Hellas. He who is wise should keep a good and useful wife in his house, or none at all.
Why are these tenses, our general? Which of his servants will announce to him that Achilles, the son of Peleus, is at his gates seeking him? What is this? Who shall speak? For this delay at Aulis is not the same for all of us. My own just plea must I declare, and whoso else hath any wish will speak for himself. Though I have left my home, still I linger here in Aulis by these reason of light breezes, restraining my myrmidons while they are ever instant with me, saying, Why do we tarry, Achilles? How much longer must we count the days for the start of Troy? Do something if thou art so minded, else lead home thy men, and wait not the tardy action of these leaders.
Woo! Hail to thee, son of the Nereids goddess. I heard thy voice from within the tent, and therefore came forth.
Modesty revered. Who can this lady be whom I behold so richly dowered with beauty's gifts?
No wonder thou knowest me not, seeing I am one thou hast never before laid eyes on. I praise thy reverent address to modesty.
Who art thou? And wherefore art thou come to the mustering of the armies, thou a woman, to a fenced camp of men?
The daughter of Leda I. My name Clytemnestra, and my husband King Agamemnon.
Well, then surely answered on all important points. But it ill befits that I stand talking to women.
Stay! Why seek to fly? Give me thy hand, a prelude to a happy marriage.
What is it thou sayest? I give thee my hand? Were I to lay a finger where I have no right, I could ne'er meet Agamemnon's eye.
The best of rights hast thou, seeing it is my child. Thou wilt wed, O son of the sea goddess.
What wedding dost thou speak of? Words fail me, lady. Could thy wits have gone awry, and art thou inventing this?
All men are naturally shy in the presence of new relations when these remind them of their wedding.
Lady, I have never wooed daughter of thine, nor the sons of Atreus ever mentioned marriage to me.
Oh, what can it mean? Thy turn now to marvel at my words, for thine are passing strange to me.
Hazard a guess. That we can both do in the matter, for it may be we are both correct in our statements.
What? Have I suffered such indignity? The marriage I am courting has no reality, it seems. I am ashamed of it.
Someone perhaps has made a mock of thee and me. Pay heed their note to make light of it.
Farewell. I can no longer face thee with unfaltering eyes after being made a liar and suffering this indignity.
'Tis farewell too I bid thee, lady. And now I go within the tent to seek thy husband.
Stay a while! Ho there! Son of the goddess and the daughter of Leda.
Who is it calling? What fear his voice betrays?
A soldier am I, an attendant to the king, though for fortune permits it not, of that I am not proud.
I am waiting. Tell me if thou art desirous, why thou hast stayed me.
Are ye really all alone here?
To us alone wilt thou address thyself. Come forth from the king's tent.
O fortune and my foresight, preserve whom I desire.
That prayer will save them in the future, as a certain earnest heir.
Delay not for the sake of touching my right hand if there is aught that thou would say to me.
Well, thou knowest my character and thou knowest my character and devotion to thee and thy children.
I know thou hast served thy country, thy land, and thy king well.
Yes, and though I mean thee all good will, I like not thy lord so well.
Come, unfold whate'er thou hast to say.
Iphigenia's father, he that begat her, is on the verge of slaying thy child with his own hand.
How? Out upon thy story, O dotard, thou art mad.
He is preparing for the task, to sever with the sword the hapless maiden's white throat.
This cannot be truth. Is my husband haply mad?
Nay, sane. except where thee and thy daughter are concerned. There he is mad.
What is his reason? What vengeful fiend compels him?
Oracles. Or so Calchas says, in order that the host may start. The oracles have decreed that for the winds to rise, Iphigenia must fall.
Whither? Woe is me, and woe is thee, thy father's destined victim.
To the goddess Artemis, a sacrifice so that Menelaus may recover Helen.
So, Helen's return then was fated to affect Iphigenia.
Thou knowest all. Agamemnon is preparing to slay thy daughter.
But that marriage, what pretext had it from bringing me from home?
An inducement to thee, to bring thy daughter cheerfully to wed her to Achilles.
What a deadly errand art thou, both thou my daughter and I thy mother.
Piteous the lot of you, and fearful Agamemnon's venture.
Alas, I am undone. My husband and the gods conspired to rob me of my child.
Whence dost say thou hast this news?
I have begun to carry thee a letter referring to the former writing.
Forbidding or combining the urge of bringing the child to her death?
Nay, forbidding it, for then the Lord was in his sober senses.
How comes it then? If thou wert really bringing me a letter that thou dost not now deliver into my hands.
Menelaus snatched it from me, he who caused all of this trouble.
Dost thou hear this, great Achilles?
I've been listening to the tale of thy sufferings, and I'm indignant to think I was used as a tool.
They will slay my child. They have tricked her with thy marriage.
Like thee, I blame thy Lord, nor do I view it with mere indifference.
No longer shall I let kneeling prevent my kneeling to thee, immortal to one's goddess born. Shall I not pretend reserve? Whose interest should I consult before my child's? Oh, help us! Goddess born in my sore distress, and her that was called thy bride in vain, 'tis true, yet called she was. It was for thee. I wreathed her head and led her forth as if to marriage, but now it is to slaughter I am bringing her. On thee will come reproach if thou dost not help her, for thou not wedded to her yet. Wert thou the loving husband of my hapless maid, in name at any rate? By thy right hand, and by thy goddess mother too, I do implore thee. For it was thy name that worked my ruin, and thou art bound to stand by that. Except my feet, I have no altar whereunto to fly, and few friends to stand by my side. I have heard the cruel and abandoned scheme of Agamemnon, and I, a woman, am come, as thou seest, to a camp of lawless sailors, bold in evil's cause, yet useful when they fight. Wherefore, if thou boldly stretch forth thine arm in my behalf, our safety is assured. But if thou withhold it, we are lost.
My proud spirit is stirred to range aloft, though it has learned to grieve in misfortune and rejoice in high prosperity with equal moderation. For these are the men who can count on ordering all their lives aright by wisdom's rules. True, there are cases where 'tis pleasant not to be too wise, but there are others where some store of wisdom helps. Being brought up in godly Chiron's halls myself, I learned to keep a single heart, and provided that the generals lead aright, I will obey them. But when they cease therefrom, no more will I obey. Nay, for here and in Troy, I will show the freedom of my nature, and as far in me lies, do honor to Ares with my spear. Thee, lady, who hast suffered so suddenly and cruelly from thy nearest and dearest, will I, in every effort in a young man's power, set aright, investing thee with that amount of pity. And never shall thy daughter, for being once called my bride, die by her father's hands. For I will not lend myself to thy husband's subtle tricks. No, for it will be my name that kills the child, although it wieldeth not the steel. Thine own husband is the actual cause, but if because of me and my marriage this maiden perishes, she that has suffered past endurances and been the victim of affronts most strangely undeserved, I shall find myself the issue of a vengeful fiend if my name is to serve thy husband in the murder. Nay, By my mother Thetis and her home amid the flowing waters, never shall King Agamemnon touch thy child. No, Calchas the seer shall rue beginning the sacrifice with his barley meal and sacred water. What is a seer? A man who, with luck, tells the truth sometimes with frequent falsehoods, but when his luck deserts him, collapses then and there. It is not to secure a bride I have spoken thus. There be maids unnumbered eager enough for me. It is because Agamemnon has put an insult on me. He should have asked my leave to use my name as a means to catch the child, for it was I chiefly who induced Clytemnestra to betroth her to me. In truth, I would have yielded this to Hellas, if that is where our going to Troy broke down, and I would never have refused to further my fellow soldiers' common interest. But, as it is, I am as naught in the eyes of those chieftains, and little they care of treating me well or ill. My sword shall soon know that if anyone is to snatch thy child from me, for then I will make it reek with the bloody stains of slaughter. Calm thyself, for God in his might I appear to thee, without being so. But now I shall show myself for all that.
Great Achilles, thy words are like thee and that sea-born deity, the holy goddess.
Would I could find the word to utter thy graciousness with no graciousness thereof. But I am ashamed of introducing a tale of woe, since my affliction touches myself alone, and thou art not affected by troubles of mine. Still, it looks well if the man of worth assists the unfortunate, even if he is not connected with them. Wherefore pity us, for our sufferings cry for pity. In the first place, I have harbored an idle hope in thinking thee to wed my daughter, and next, perhaps, the slaying of my child will be to thee an evil omen in thy wooing hereafter, against which thou must guard thyself. Thy words were good, both first and last. For if thou will it so, my daughter will be saved. Wilt have her clasp thy feet as suppliant. 'Tis no maid's part. Yet if it seem good to thee, she shall with the modest look of freeborn maid.
Bring not thou thy daughter out for me to see, nor let us incur the reproach of the ignorant. For an army, when gathered together, loves the evil gossip of malicious tongues. After all, thou wilt attain a like result from me if I had ne'er been supplicated. After all, I am in a mighty struggle to rid you of your troubles. Be sure one thing thou hast heard. I will not tell a lie. If I do so, or idly mock thee, may I die, but live if I preserve the maid.
Bless thee for ever aiding the distressed.
Hearken then to me that the matter may succeed.
Oh. Well, what is thy proposal? For hear thee I must.
Let us once more urge her father to better frame of mind.
Oh, he is something of a coward, and fears the army too much.
Shrewd argument may yet overthrow with cowardice.
Cold hope indeed. But tell me what I must do.
Entreat him first not to slay his child, and if he is stubborn, come to me. For if he consents to thy request, then my intervention need go no further, for this consent ensures thy safety. I too shall show myself in a better light to my soldiers, and the armies will not blame me if I arrange the matter by reason rather than force. While should things go well, the satisfactory will prove to thee and thy friends, even without my interference.
How sensibly thou speakest! I must act as seemeth best to thee. But should I fail my object, where am I to see thee again? Whither must I turn my wretched steps and find thee ready to champion my distress?
I'm keeping watch to guard over thee, where occasion calls, none see thee passing through the host with a fearful look. Shame not thy father's house, for Tyndareus deserveth not to be ill spoken of being a mighty man in Hellas.
'Tis even so. Command me. I must play as attendant to thee. If there are gods, for thou thy righteous dealing wilt find them favorable. But if there are none, what need to toil?
I pray the gods shed a blessing on the high-born bride. But will Argives crown thee, wreathing the lovely tresses of thy hair to wed thee to a worthy hero? Or prepare thee, a deer undefiled, staining with blood thy human throat? Where now does modesty or virtue avail aught, seeing as godlessness holds sway, and virtue is neglected and thrust behind them, mortals no longer seeking common cause to keep the jealousy of gods from reaching them? It seems I was speaking of someone not far away, for here's Agamemnon, soon to be detected in the commission of a crime against his own child.
Where's my wife, Clytemnestra? The time comes near for Iphigenia to be brought forth.
She is within, speaking to your daughter. I take my leave. May the gods regard us all with favor.
I have come from my tent to look out for my husband, who went away and left his home long ago, and find him here. Great Agamemnon, have you come to take our daughter hence?
Daughter of Leda, 'tis lucky I found thee outside the tent. For in the absence of thy daughter, we must discuss matters not suited for the ears of maidens on the eve of marriage.
What, pray, are the matters you must discuss?
Send the maiden out to join her father. For the sacred waters stand ready, and barley meal to be scattered by hand on the cleansing flame, and heifers to be sacrificed to the goddess Artemis to usher in the marriage, their black blood spouting from each of them.
Though thy words are fair, I know not how to name thy deeds in terms of praise. Come forth, my daughter. Full well thou knowest what is in thy father's mind. Behold, told she comes in obedience to thy summons. Myself will speak the rest alike for her and me.
My daughter, why dost thou weep and no longer lookest cheerfully? Why are thine eyes fixed upon the ground and holding the robe before them?
Alas! With which of my woes shall I begin? For I may treat them as first, or place them last, or midway anywhere.
How now? I find thee all alike, confusion and alarm in every eye.
My husband, answer frankly the questions I ask thee.
There is no necessity to order me. I am willing to be questioned.
Dost thou mean to slay thy child and mine?
Those are heartless words, unwarranted suspicions.
Peace! Answer me that question first.
Put a fair question, and thou shalt have a fair answer.
I have no other questions to put. Give me no other answers.
Oh, fate revered, destiny and fortune mine.
Aye, mine and this maid's too. The three share one bad fortune.
Whom have I injured?
Dost thou ask me that question? A thought like that itself amounts to thoughtlessness.
Ruined my secret out.
I know all. I have heard what thou art bent on doing to me. Thy very silence is confession. Tire not thyself by telling it. That poor child, my daughter, hearing the fate her father designed for her, is in tears, uttering in many keys a piteous lamentation.
Whoa! I am silent, for if I tell thee a falsehood, needs I add effrontery to misfortune.
Then listen, for I will now unfold my meaning and employ no dark riddles. In the first place, to reproach thee first with this, it was not by my own free will, but by force that thou didst take and wed me after slaying my former husband with brutal violence. Then, when those two sons of Zeus, who were likewise my brothers, came flashing to war on horseback with thee, my aged father rescued thee because of thy suppliant prayers, and in turn hast me to wife. Once reconciled to thee upon this footing, thou wilt bear me witness. I have been a blameless wife to thee and thy family, chaste in love and honor to thy house. 'Tis seldom a man secures a wife like this, although the getting of a worthless woman is of no rarity. Besides, 3 daughters, one of whom thou art heartlessly depriving me. I am the mother of thy son. If anyone asks thee thy reason for slaying our daughter, tell me. What wilt thou say? Oh, or shall I say it for you? It is that Menelaus may recover Helen. An honorable exchange indeed for a wicked woman's price and children's lives. 'Tis buying what we most detest, with what we hold most dear. Again, if thou go forth with the host, and leaving me suppliant in thy halls and art long absent at Troy, what will my feelings be at home, dost think? When I behold a vacant chair, and her chamber now deserted, and I sit alone in tears, making ceaseless lamentation for her. Ah, my child, he that begat thee had slain thee himself. He and no one else, nor was it by another's hand. I do adjure thee by the gods, compel me not to sin, nor sin thyself. Go to. Suppose thou sacrifice the child. What prayer wilt thou utter when 'tis done? What will the blessing be that thou wilt invoke upon thyself as thou art slaying our daughter? Is it right that I should pray for any luck to attend thee? Surely we should deem the gods void of sense if they harbored a kindly feeling towards murderers. Wilt thou embrace thy children on thy coming back to Argos? Nay, thou hast no right. Will any child of thine e'er face thee if thou had surrendered one of them to death? Has this ever entered thy calculations? Or does thy one duty consist of carrying a kingly scepter about and marching at the head of an army? Thou might have made this fairest proposal among the Argives. Is it your wish to sail for Troy? Why then cast lots whose daughter has to die? For that would have been a fair course for thee to pursue, instead of picking out thy own child as a victim and presenting her to the Greeks. Or Menelaus, inasmuch as it was his concern, should have slain his daughter for her mother. As it is, I, who am still true to thee, must lose my child. Whereas Helen, who went astray, will get to return with her daughter and live in happiness in Sparta. If I am wrong and not herein, answer me. But if my words are fairly urged, do not still slay thy child, who is mine too, and thou wilt be wise.
Hearken to her, Agamemnon, for to join in saving thy children's lives is surely a noble deed. None would gainsay this.
Had I the eloquence, my father, to move the rocks by chanted spells to follow me, or to charm by speaking whom I would resort to it. But as it is, I'll bring my heart, the only art I know, for that I might attempt. And about thyself, I'll twine my limbs, these limbs thy wife here bore. Discharge me not before my time, for sweet is to look upon the lights, and force me not to join the world below. I was the first to call thee father, thou the first to call me child. The first was I to sit upon thy knee and give and take the fond caress. And this was thou then would say, shall I see thee, my child, living a happy, prosperous life in a husband's home one day in a manner worthy of myself? And I in my turn would ask, as I hung about thy beard, whereto I now am clinging, how shall I see thee? Shall be giving thee a glad reception in my halls, father, in thy old age, repaying all thy anxious care in rearing me? I remember all we said. 'Tis thou who hast forgotten, and thou wouldst take my life. I entreat thee, spare me, by thy father Atreus and my mother here, who suffers now a second time the pain she felt before when bearing me. What have I to do with the marriage of Paris and Helen? Why is this coming to prove my ruin, father? Look upon me. One glance, one kiss bestow, that this at least I may take to my death as a memorial of thee, though thou heed not my pleading. Oh, Father, pity me. Have mercy on my tender ears. In summing on my pleas in one, I will prevail in what I say. To gaze upon yon light is man's most cherished gift. That life below is nothingness, and whoso longs for death is mad. Better live a life of woe than die a death of glory.
O wretch Helen, awful the struggle that has come to the sons of Atreus and their children, thanks to thee and those marriages of thine.
While loving my own children, I know what should move my pity and what should not. I were a madman else, 'Tis terrible for me to bring myself to this. Nor less terrible is it for me to refuse my daughter, for we fare the same. Ye see the vastness of yon naval host, and the scores of bronze-clad warriors who can neither make their way to Ilium's towers, nor raise the far-famed citadel of Troy, unless I offer thee, in accordance to Calchas the seer. Some mad desire possesses the men of Hellas to sail forthwith to the barbarians, and they will slay my daughters in Argos, as well as you and me, if I do not behold the goddess's behests. It is not Menelaus who hold me to him, child, nor any wish of his. Nay, 'tis Greece, for whom I must sacrifice thee, whether I am willing or no. To this necessity I bow my head, for her freedom must be preserved.
My child, woe is me, for this is thy death. Thy father flies, surrendering thee to Hades.
Woe is me, O mother mine, for the same strain has fallen to us both in our fortune. No more for me the light of day, no more the beams of yonder sun. It is my death. Fraught with glory to Greece, 'tis true, that Artemis will receive as an offering before the voyage to Troy. Oh, mother, mother! He that begat me to this life of sorrow has gone and left me all alone. A bitter, bitter sight for me was Helen, evil Helen. To me now doomed to bleed and die, slaughtered by an impious sire. I would this Aulis have never received in its havens here the sterns of bronze-beaked ships, the fleet which were speeding to Troy. Full of trouble then it seems is the race of mortals, full of trouble verily. And 'tis fate's decree that man should find distress.
I pity thee for thy cruel fate, a fate I would thou ne'er hast met.
O mother that bare me, I see a man approaching. Is this my doom?
'Tis the goddess born thou seest, child, for who thou camest hither.
Open the tent door to me that I may hide myself.
Stay. Why seek to fly, my child?
I'm ashamed to face Achilles.
Wherefore?
The luckless ending to our marriage causes me to feel abashed.
There is no time for shame now in the face of what has chanced, okay? Stay then. Reserve will do no good if only we can.
Daughter of Leda, lady of... Daughter of Leda, lady of sorrows.
No misnomer that.
A fearful cry has been heard among the Argives.
What is it? Tell me.
It concerns thy child.
Oh, an evil omen for thy words.
They say her sacrifice is necessary.
And there's no one to say a word against them?
Even I myself was in some danger from the tumult.
In danger of what, kind sir?
Of being stoned.
Surely not for trying to save my daughter.
The very reason.
Who would dare to lay a finger on thee?
The men of Hellas, one and all.
Oh, were not thy Myrmidon warriors at thy side?
They were the first to turn against me.
Oh, my child, we are lost undone, it seems.
They taunted me as the man whom marriage had enslaved.
And what dost thou answer them?
I craved the life of her I was meant to wed.
Justly so.
The wife that her father promised me.
Aye, and set to fetch from Argos.
But I was overcome by clamorous cries.
Oh, truly, the mob is a dire mischief.
But I will help thee for all that.
Wilt thou really fight them single-handedly?
You see a warrior here?
Oh, bless thee for thy kind intent.
Well, then I shall be blessed.
So then my child will not be slaughtered now?
No, not with my consent at any rate.
But will any of them come to lay hands on the maid?
Aye, thousands, with Calchas at their head.
The seer who demanded my daughter's life?
The very same.
Acting by himself or by the army's order?
By their choice and his own.
An evil choice indeed, to stain his hands in blood.
But I will hold them back.
Will they bear and seize her against her will?
Aye, no doubt.
What must I do when it comes to that?
Keep hold of thy child.
Be sure she shall not be slain, as far as that can help her.
Believe me, it will come to this.
Mother,
Hear me while I speak, for I see that thou art wroth with thy husband to no purpose. 'Tis hard for us to persist in impossibilities. Our thanks are due to the stranger for his ready help, but thou must also see to it that he is not reproached by the army, leaving us no better off and himself involved in trouble. Listen, mother, hear what thoughts have passed across my mind. I am resolved to die, and this I fain would do with honor, dismissing from me what is mean. Towards this now, mother, turn thy thoughts and weigh with me how well I speak. To me the whole of mighty Hellas looks. On me the passage o'er the sea depends. On me the sack of Troy. And in my power lies to check henceforth barbarian raids on happy Hellas, if ever in the days to come they seek to seize her daughters, when once they have atoned by death for the violation of Helen's marriage by Paris. All this deliverance will my death ensure, and my fame in setting Hellas free will be a happy one. Besides, I have no right to cling too fondly to my life, for thou didst not bear me for myself alone, but as a public blessing to all Hellas. What? Shall countless warriors, armed with shields, those myriads sitting at the oar, find courage and attack the foe and die for Hellas because their fatherland is wronged and my one life prevent all this? What kind of justice is that? Am I to find a word and answer? Now we turn to that other point. It is not right that this man should enter into battle with all Argos or be slain for a single stranger's sake. If Artemis is minded to take this body, am I a weak mortal to thwart the goddess? Nay, that were impossible. To Greece I resign it, offer the sacrifice, and make an utter end of Troy. This is my enduring monument, marriage, motherhood, and fame. All these is to me.
Thou playest a noble part, maiden, but sickly are the whims of the fate and the goddess.
Daughter of Agamemnon, if some god was bent on blessing me, could I but have won thee for my bride? Because in thee I reckon Hellas happy, in thee in Hellas. For this thou hast said is good and worthy of thy homeland, since thou, abandoning a strife with heavenly powers, which are too strong for thee, has weighed fairly advantages and needs. But now that I look into thy noble nature, I feel a more strong desire to win thee for my wife. Look to it, for I would fain serve thee and receive thee in my halls. Reflect, I say, a dreadful ill is death.
Enough that Helen is causing wars and bloodshed by her beauty, but be not slain thyself, sir stranger, nor slay anyone on my account. But let me, if I can, save Hellas.
Heroic spirit, I can say no more to this since thou art so minded, for thine is a noble resolve. Why should one not avow the truth? Yet will I speak, that thou wilt happily change thy mind, that thou may knowest what my offer is. I will go to the temple and place these arms of mine near the altar. Resolve not to permit thy death, but to prevent it. For brave as thou art, at the sight of the knife at your throat, thou wilt attain thyself of what I said. So I will not let thee perish through any thoughtlessness of thine. But I will go to the temple of the goddess with these arms, and await thy arrival there.
Mother, why so silent? Thine eyes wet with tears.
I have reason. Woe is me to be sad at heart.
Forbear, make me not a coward. Hear in one thing, obey me.
Say what it is, my child, for at my hands thou shalt ne'er suffer injury.
Cut not off the tresses of thy hair, nor clothe thyself in garb to mourn me.
Why, my child? What is it thou hast said? Shall I, when I lose thee?
Lose me thou dost not. I am saved, and thou renowned as far as I can make thee.
How so? Must I not mourn thy death?
By no means, for I shall have no tomb to bore me.
What? Does the act of dying not demand proper burial?
The altar of the goddess Zeus's daughter will be my tomb. I, as one who prospereth and doeth Hellas service.
What message shall I carry to thy sisters?
Put not mourning raiment on them either.
But there is no fond message I can give to thy kin from thee?
Yes, my farewell words.
Is there anything I can do to pleasure thee in Argos?
Yes, Hate not my father, thy own husband.
Fearful are the trials through which he must go to because of thee.
It is against his will he ruins me for the sake of Hellas. My life was forfeit the moment Calchas spoke my name.
But he employed base treachery, unworthy of a king.
This saves us all, save me who could not live. Who will escort me hence before my hair is torn?
I will go with thee.
No, not thou. Thou not sayest well.
I will, clinging to thy robes.
Be persuaded by me, mother, stay here. For this is a better way alike for me and thee. Let one of the attendants of my father conduct me to the meadow of Artemis, where I shall be sacrificed.
Art gone from me, my child.
Aye, with no chance of ever returning.
Leaving thy mother.
Yes, as thou seest, undeservedly.
Hold! Leave me not!
I cannot let thee shed a tear. But it yearns to him in joyous strain of Artemis, the child of Zeus, for my hard lot. And let the order for a solemn hush go forth to deny. Begin the sacrifice with the baskets. Let the fire blaze for the purifying meal of sprinkling. And my father pace left and right about the altar, for I come to bestow on Hellas safety crowned with victory. Lead me hence, me the destroyer of Troy. Give me wreaths to cast about me. Bring them hither. Here are my tresses to crown. Bring sacred water too. Dance for Artemis, Queen Artemis the blessed around her fane and altar. For by the blood of my sacrifice I will blot out the oracle if it needs must be. O mother, lady revered, for thee shall my tears be shed, and now, for at the holy rite I may not weep. Sing the praises for Artemis at her temple, where angry spearmen madly chafe here in the narrow havens of Aulis because of me. O my thoughts now of land of my birth and my home.
Thou art right. No fear that fame will e'er desert thee.
A different life, a different lot is henceforth mine. Farewell, I bid thee. To be alike to Hellas didst thou rear me, and so I say not no to death. Hail to thee, bright lamp of day and light of Zeus. Farewell, I bid thee, light beloved.
O Clytemnestra, daughter of Tyndareus, come forth from the tent to hear my news.
I heard thy voice and am come. Not sure what thou hast arrived with. Fresh tidings of trouble besides the present woe?
Nay, I dread to speak.
Delay not then, but speak at once. Misery is my company now.
Dear mistress, Agamemnon has come to say his farewells. The winds have risen, and the ships are ready to sail toward vengeance.
May his journey be as peaceful as the one he sent our daughter on.
Friend, do not tarry. This hard-won wind is loosing our host upon the sea, alas, to sail. You must to your ship so we may meet on the fields of Troy for justice. I see you look pale. Ease your mind. The gods are appeased. They have blessed our journey and our battles to come. To your ship. Odysseus, have faith, old friend. The gods will favor our journeys evermore. The troops were gathered at the grove. All marveled at the courage and wisdom of our daughter. Her brave, unflinching spirit appeased Artemis and opened the way. Happy may we be counted, lady, for as far as concerns our daughter, for she have fellowship with gods.
As our daughter bid me, I shall not shed a tear, but praise her. Let us celebrate Artemis, daughter of Zeus, a queen among the gods. O Lady revered, send on its way this assembled host to Troy's abodes of guile, and may you grant that Agamemnon's head may wreathe in a deathless fame, the fairest crown of glory for the spearmen of Hellas.
You must start for home, for the host is looking to sail.
Son of Atreus, start for Phrygia's land with joy and so return, I pray, after taking from Troy her fairest spoils. May the winds you purchased here bring you back to me with haste.
And thus the 1,000 ships were launched. The Greeks sailed to Troy, and in the war legends were made. Agamemnon and Menelaus, Achilles and Odysseus, names that would live in story and song. In the years of battle, through the conquest of Troy, warriors wrapped themselves in valor and victory. But just as they would return home, they would learn that the price they paid to become heroes left a debt that would come due.